All right, folks, this week we have been reading fables, which are an important kind of folk tale. We said that folk tales were told from one generation to the next over time, and the fables are a really interesting particular kind of folk tale because all fables attempt to teach a lesson, which we also call a moral. Now, there are some other important characteristics of fables as well. They're very short. They usually only have 2 to 3 characters, and they have examples of personification. That means you have something that's not a person acting like a person would act. Maybe it's a plant, maybe it's an animal, maybe it's something in nature. The particular fables we've been reading this week are all by a man named Aesop, who was a Greek man who lived many, many hundreds of years ago, and he would travel around telling his fables, and they became so popular that we even keep them around today. The fable I want to read to you today is one that you may have heard of before. It's called The Ant and the Grasshopper, and it teaches a really important moral that I think you're going to pick up on pretty quickly. In a field on a summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to his heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing with him a great piece of corn that was even bigger than he was, and the ant was scurrying along to carry this piece of food to his nest. "Why not come and chat with me?" said the grasshopper, "instead of toiling around all day on a beautiful day like this?" "I'm helping to lay up food for winter," said the ant, "and I suggest you do the same thing." "Why bother about winter?" said the grasshopper. "We have plenty of food right now." But the ant went his way and continued to work. In fact, the ant worked all summer long, carrying food to its nest day after day after day, while the grasshopper continued to chirp and sing and hop around and play to his heart's content. Then winter came. The ant was safe inside his nest, warm and full of plenty of food to eat because he had prepared all summer long. The grasshopper, however, had nothing to eat, and as the weather came cooler and as the snows fell, the grasshopper starved to death, while the ant and all of the ant's family continued to live happily and successfully in their little nest. What do you think is the moral of this story? None of the characters really told us, so we have to make an inference. We have to think about what the story had to take place in it and what we think that the characters in the story learned. So let's think back. You have an ant and a grasshopper. The ant's working and working and working and working day after day after day. Grasshopper is singing, hopping around, and playing. Does the grasshopper prepare for winter? No, he doesn't do any preparation, even though the ant suggests to him that he should. What happened when winter came? Well, the ant and all the ant's family had plenty to eat, and they were safe and content inside their nest. What about the grasshopper? He didn't have anything to eat, and he starved to death. So what do you think that the author was trying to teach us? Would the author tell us that you should play or prepare first? Well, I think the author would tell us it's important to be prepared, right? That's certainly what the ant did, and he benefited from it greatly. A grasshopper refused to prepare, and he suffered. So, we have an important moral or lesson in this story. Was it a short story? Yes. Were there 2 to 3 characters? Yes, the ant and the grasshopper. Did you see any personification? We had talking animals. We had animals who were thinking and preparing and being happy, right? So we certainly had examples of personification. Now, next week, we're going to start a new type of folk tale. We've read fairy tales and we've read fables, and next week we'll start a new type that we'll be learning about, and I hope you'll enjoy those. Bye, guys.